Welcome back to round 4 game of GP Essen. Here we have Purplemurasaki versus HerziQuerzi. HerziQuerzi is on Tropic Thunder, as always. A 4-color Thunder Roads plus King Dancer plus Bounty type of deck, with a bunch of cards that also care about extra copies of themselves in the graveyard, and you run Spirit Script to get some extra copies from that. Meanwhile, Purplemurasaki is on Cosmic Thunder Princess, which, that's a really cool name for a deck, I guess. It's a deck that also runs Thunder Roads, and also runs Bounty of the Gardens and King Dancer, but instead of running all these practiced spells, like the spells that care about extra copies in graveyard, it's running stuff like Ready for Anything to ramp into Manning Princess, which does a bunch of stuff for 4 mana. I mean, that's the best way to describe that card. It just does a bunch of different stuff for 4 mana, and it's almost always just good. Anyways, Herzi starts off with an Unceasing Flames on face, shuffling in 3 copies of itself. A weird play, but I guess they weren't going to do anything else this turn anyways, and it's not like Purplemurasaki's deck has any good creatures to kill with Unceasing Flames, or at least the first Unceasing Flames. So Purplemurasaki draws, well, they don't draw a land, but they can Ready for Anything to get 3 mana on turn 3. And if I draw a land next turn, then they get 4 mana. So yeah, they're going to Ready for Anything now in case Herzi had any counter spells, so they can play around that, and seems like that's a good play because Herzi was holding a Cursing Glance after all. Purplemurasaki doesn't really need to hold up Cosmic Sinkhole here. Not that they really want to, because they can only Cosmic Sinkhole for 1 off these lands, since the Shifting Land is making colorless right now. And Purplemurasaki cracks their Shifting Land for Forest Plains. And Ready for Anything also lets you scry and then draw, so I guess they scry themselves into a 3rd land, so that they have 4 mana on turn 3. Meanwhile, Herzi is holding up Cosmic Sinkhole. Or no, Herzi's holding up Cursing Glance, but they can C-Cash end of turn. So Purplemurasaki's thinking. So I guess Purplemurasaki's thinking about whether to Cosmic Sinkhole to C-Cash right now. And like Cosmic Sinkhole and C-Cash might be alright just because, well, Purplemurasaki doesn't know this yet, but Herzi doesn't have any extra lands in hand. So if they Cosmic Sinkhole to C-Cash, it might be able to massacre Herzi somehow. Or no, Purplemurasaki was thinking about whether they wanted to play Mabel or not when Herzi was tapped out of Cursing Glance. And yeah, so Purplemurasaki lets it resolve. Does Herzi draw into their 3rd land? They can still function on 2 lands, sort of, but they'd rather have their 3rd land. Okay, yeah, they do get their 3rd land. They're going to lead off on Unceasing Flames on Mabel, and yeah, it just dies. Purplemurasaki's not going to bother trying to save it. Not that they really can, because Cosmic Sinkhole, they can Cosmic Sinkhole for 1, but yeah. Now Herzi gets to pass holding up 2 mana. So they're holding up Cursing Glance, and end of turn they can also C-Cash or Breach the Lilies. Purplemurasaki draws Portal Fracture. So now they're still on 4 mana. They're going to Ready for Anything on their turn. Well, no, they're trying to look for stuff to do, and Herzi decides to Cursing Glance it, I guess. But they're going to C-Cash now. Is Purplemurasaki going to Portal Fracture? Or no, they don't even have Portal Fracture. They can just Cosmic Sinkhole here to counter the C-Cash, because Herzi's tapped out. Now, Ready for Anything is probably going to scry Purplemurasaki into another land. And yeah, and it even makes another treasure. But Purplemurasaki is rolling in the mana right now. Not that they really have anything to spend it on. Actually, no. Next turn, they can Bounty and then Thunder Roads, and I think that gets them augmented Thunder Roads. So Purplemurasaki passes, and they're even holding up Portal Fracture off the treasure and the untapped Shifting Glade, or Shifting Cascade. Herzi doesn't draw their 4th land, which is a bit unfortunate, actually, because now they can't go 2 mana spell, 2 mana spell. They're going to try to Breach Lily the C-Cash. Is Purplemurasaki going to counter this? Seems like, yeah, the answer is yes. Which makes sense. They don't want Herzi to draw into more lands. And yeah, Herzi just has to pass here. They can't even hold up anything. Now, does Purplemurasaki go for Bounty Thunder Roads while Herzi's tapped out? Or are they just going to pass the turn holding up King Dancer and Portal Fracture? And then, I mean, they can just end of turn Bounty Thunder Roads. Seems like they're going to confirm Hypothesis instead. Probably to try to draw into a land. Yeah, they are going to confirm the Shifting Land to draw a card. They draw into a land, so exactly what they needed. And confirm Hypothesis on Shifting Land makes 2 lands, so they have more than enough mana to Bounty, Thunder Roads, and then even call up Cosmic Sinkhole for that next turn. And they swing in with their scouts. And wait, what's Purplemurasaki doing now? They're going to Bounty the Gardens now, I guess, to play around Cursing Glance. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but I mean, I guess they can augment Thunder Roads next turn off the King Dancer. No, they're going to King Dancer now, and then I guess Bounty again. Oh yeah, I guess they don't even have to Thunder Roads this game. They can just win the game off these giant plant tokens, and Herzi has no way to deal with these guys. That's actually pretty unfortunate for Herzi. because like they just never do their fourth land, and yeah, they have to concede here. Purplemurasaki just got everything they needed, including all the land drops and all the ramp. Look at the board though. So Herzi probably wants to bring Secrets of Coral Court to fight against Purplemurasaki's counter spells, and then Cosmic Cinco because it's counter spell matchup. Redo might be also decent just because of the counter spell matchup, but Purplemurasaki's spells are pretty cheap, and they actually have a decent amount of ramp in their deck. And meanwhile, on Purplemurasaki's side, a lot of their sideboard is for Cosmic Coalescing, so it's a bit harder to sideboard, but they probably want to bring in the Still Pandemoniums because counter spell matchup, and probably End of All Things maybe, because that can actually counter the augmented trigger, I think, on Thunder Roads. I think that's probably it, because everything else they can just get off Cosmic Coalescing. Okay, so game 2 has started. Herzi draws a hand with no land and has to mulligan. Purplemurasaki draws a hand with exactly what they want. They have turn 2 ready for anything off the Renewal Grove plus Shifting Grove. Now Herzi mulligans and gets a decent hand, I guess. They can bounty and then breach the bounty. They're still keeping out body experience for bounties from Purplemurasaki, I guess. They keep 6, but this hand isn't that good because it doesn't have any counter spells or any early card draw. So Purplemurasaki also manages to first mate win one of their lands, which is one of the main advantages of first mate. You get to keep hands with slightly too many lands and get rid of one of the lands for a card. Herzi passes. They can't actually do anything on their turn because bounty for 2 is just not very good right now, I think. Well, either way, Purplemurasaki also passes. You're gonna probably end of turn on Herzi's turn, ready for anything. They draw Spirit Script, so I guess they can at least do that at the end of Purplemurasaki's turn once they tap out for ready for anything. I guess Purplemurasaki is thinking about whether they want to ready for anything now or whether they rather not do anything to play around Herzi's counter spells. But they're going to ready for anything now because there's really not a reason not to. So they play this thing, and Herzi can choose to Spirit Scripts in response because now Purplemurasaki's tapped out of a counter. And honestly, I think Herzi probably should just Spirit Script now because they're not doing anything else during Purplemurasaki's turn. They have nothing else to really do. Bounty and Out Body aren't really that good right now, and Breach has no targets. They should just Spirit Script while Purplemurasaki's tapped out that don't get their card draw countered. So is Herzi going to Spirit Script now? Well, Purplemurasaki's cracking their shifting land. And no, Herzi's going to hold on to the Spirit Script for now. I feel like that's probably a mistake because, yeah, I guess maybe Herzi wants slightly more information before they Spirit Script so that they know what to discard. But now Purplemurasaki can counter Spirit Script. If they want, Purplemurasaki is thinking about whether they want to counter the Spirit Script right now. And they definitely can do that because they can Cinco for 2 or still a Pandemonium and then still have 2 mana up from the treasure, so they can counter the Spirit Script and then still have enough mana up for another counter or ready for anything at the end of the opponent's turn if they don't do anything. Or bounty, in fact. But Purplemurasaki is going to let it resolve. So Herzi draws into Diffuse, which will be a counter spell. You're going to discard Out of Body because it doesn't have any targets right now. Now it's Herzi's turn. Herzi untaps and draws Cursory Glance, so another counter spell. They play Renewal Grove and pass. So what's Purplemurasaki going to do in a turn? They can just ready for anything, I guess. No, they're going to Mabel. And is Herzi going to Cursory Glance it or Diffuse it? Is Mabel worth a counter spell? I mean, Herzi has 2 counter spells, so I think they probably want to use one of them, just so that they have a counter spell in the yard for Breach at least. Yeah, they're going to they're going to Bounty first. I guess, yeah, they want to bounty while Purplemurasaki's tapped out. Are they going to follow up with the counter spell? No, right? Because they want to keep up counter spell in case Purplemurasaki has anything on their turn. They don't want to tap out just yet. So Purplemurasaki also draws into another counter spell, a second Cosmic Cinco in this case. And they draw into another land. I think Purplemurasaki is drawing into everything that they need. Well, I guess they don't have a way to deal with the plant token, but they can just cast their own bounty for 4 to trade the plant tokens. So Purplemurasaki just going to play a land and pass? Yeah. Herzi untaps and draws Cane Dancer. Okay, so now they can Cane Dancer on the bounty or the Spirit Script, but that's probably not a good Cane Dancer target. But yeah, now they have Cane Dancer bounty and Breach Lilies on bounty. So they can get 2 5/5 plant tokens this turn if they want to. Purplemurasaki is going for end of turn ready for anything. Probably digging for... Oh, they're going to get a Cosmic Coalescing off to ready for anything. And are they going to bounty here? No, they're going to save the bounty. Probably want a bigger plant token. Oh, Tenuous Existence. Yeah, this card's really good against plant tokens. The first mode kills a plant token that's already in play, and the second mode kills a plant token that's about to come into play. And since it is flashback, you can use it to deal with 2 plant tokens. It also forces the opponent to stop making plant tokens for a turn. It seems like Purplemurasaki isn't, well, no, they have Predators, so their mana is pretty much perfect at this point. The Herzi sacks Renewal Grove. Are they going to try to go for 2 plant tokens off the Breach plus Cane Dancer? I guess they can counter 1 Tenuous Existence, but Tenuous Existence has flashback, so no, Herzi isn't going to do that. They're just going to pass. And they have Thunder Roads now, so if they want to, they can augment Thunder Roads pretty easily. Or, no, can they? Yeah, they have all 5 colors off the 2 Sanctuaries. So yeah, they have augmented Thunder Roads up at any time. And Purplemurasaki, meanwhile, end of turn, what are they going to do here? Purplemurasaki decides to bounty end of turn, make a 5/5. Herzi is going to counter with Cursory Glance. Is Purplemurasaki going to fight over this? Seems like they will. So actually, the Fuse will only tax for 2 here because Spirit Script has already become a copy of Cursory Glance. And yeah, it seems like Herzi realizes this. Oh no, Herzi can still counter the bounty by letting Cursory Glance get countered and go into the graveyard, and then using Breach or Cane Dancer to recast Cursory Glance. But that's a lot of resources to invest into countering bounty, and Purplemurasaki is still going to get the Investigate off the Still Pandemonium. So I think at this point, Herzi's just thinking about whether they want to snap off the Thunder Roads augmented and shoot Purplemurasaki in the face for 9. Well, they're going to let the Cursory Glance get countered, and they're going to let the bounty resolve too. And then, yeah, Herzi's not going to snap off the Thunder Roads now, so they're probably just keeping up the Fuse, which will now tax for 4 because Spirit Script has reset itself. So the next time the Herzi casts the Fuse, the Spirit Script's going to turn into a copy of the Fuse, and the Fuse will see itself in the graveyard and counter for 4. Purplemurasaki plays Tenuous Existence, and Herzi just lets it happen, so that thing will exile the token. Purplemurasaki swings in for 7. Herzi's going to Breach the Lilies now, using it to flashback Alibi Experience. Okay, I guess that makes sense. But no, Purplemurasaki can just Portal Fracture that. No, Herzi's down to 13 life, but they can augment Thunder Roads, which gains them 9 life. And they can draw another Cane Dancer, so they have plenty of options available. And the question is whether all these options will allow Herzi to get back to this game. So Herzi plays Cane Dancer, and Purplemurasaki is going to Cosmic Sinkhole that. Well, at least, no, Purplemurasaki is not even tapped out because they have these 2 treasures that they haven't used since they made these things on turn 2 or something. And yeah, there's the augmented Thunder Roads, but instead of pointing it to face, Herzi's going to have to use it to clear Purplemurasaki's board. And even then, Purplemurasaki can counter 1 of the copies of Thunder Roads with their Cosmic Sinkhole. So if Herzi doesn't point all 3 copies of Thunder Roads at the plant token, then they're going to get blown out by Cosmic Sinkhole, because if they only point 2 copies of Thunder Roads at the plant token, Purplemurasaki can just counter 1 of the copies with Cosmic Sinkhole, and now the plant token doesn't even die. And yeah, Herzi gains 6 life from that. So now Purplemurasaki still has the 5/5 plant token on board that Herzi needs to find a way to deal with. And with 1 Cane Dancer in hand, I guess they have access to another bounty. They're probably just going to flashback bounty with Cane Dancer, I guess. And Purplemurasaki now gets to fire off a giant Cosmic Coalescing end of turn. Or right now even, because Herzi's tapped out. So might as well do that now. Seems like Purplemurasaki isn't going to tap all out for Cosmic Coalescing. Maybe they're just looking to fetch a specific card off the Cosmic Coalescing and keep that up during Herzi's turn. But yeah, Cosmic Coalescing for X equals 3. Herzi's tapped out, so they're just going to take. And Purplemurasaki finds Thunder Roads off that and casts Thunder Roads for lethal. It seems like Herzi had lost so hard that they disconnected.